We are Brightside Home Theater.
We are live. Hey, home theater nerds. Welcome to the Brightside Home Theater Podcast, a home theater podcast that's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds,
the scenes.
Nice. Fresh new look, boys. What do you think?
I see. Yeah, it's awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. I do like the funky music during the countdown there, Deej. That was very cool.
That came with the app.
Sounded great in these.
Another feature, and this is a perfect segue for this, another little feature we can do. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Mike Schramm. Isn't that cool?
That is very cool.
So, yep.
It's like a live ticker.
Exactly. I can do that too. We have tickers on here. We can put information, all sorts of stuff. So this is going to be way more interactive. And what's nice is last week I added the sounds for you boys over there. And now you have the scenes too. So we are now a fully encompassed podcast. So there we go.
Well, at what point does the podcast become just a show? I mean,
I don't
more
know.
of a show. I think that might be
yeah,
where we are.
exactly. I got my dancing shoes on. Yeah, and you can, John, you just joined quickly. I didn't really give you the full tour, but there's you can read the comments on the side there if there's something.
I found it.
Yep. You guys keep an eye on that. If there's something you like, you want to highlight it, just let me know, and I'll click, because I can click on it and put it in. So, so yeah. All right. Let's see, who else do we have here? Oh, there we go. David Guzman. What's up, my home theater nerds? It looks so nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, let us know in the chat how the audio is, because I can adjust it too. I don't know how that's going out to you guys. Hopefully it's going out well. But should be okay. So, all right. You guys see what I've been up to for the last week. What have you guys been up to?
Yeah, John sounds like he's he's still a bit croaky after the 5-1 drubbing of Liverpool by.
Yeah, I've been sick ever since. No, I was sick all weekend. I took the weekend off to spend with my wife, and I was sick the whole weekend. So.
Oh,
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, you know what that says? Less weekends with the wife.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's got to be her fault, right?
Yeah, well, she was sick too. We've been passing it back and forth for a couple weeks, I think. So.
I've been flying the Brightside Home Theatre flag at the UK's only hi-fi and home cinema show. So I wore the shirt all special like. And much interest in the shirt, Deej.
Really?
Including including some people from Home Cinema Choice, which, for those of you that don't know, it's the kind of the UK's home cinema Bible. Home Cinema Choice has been around forever. And a number of people there were fascinated by the shirt. And I said, well, look, I can get the guy that designed it to tell you, but it'll take him 3 hours to explain all of the various design elements that are into it. Yeah.
That's great.
That's being kind.
It's actually a quick explanation. It's me that drags it out.
So it was very cool. Well,
we'll get to that.
They were very cool. Some really nice people and some really good guys. And SVS were there, and Kaleidescape. They were not there. But SVS were there. There were a few others, and it was a really nice chat to.
Who was there from SVS? Did you talk to them?
I didn't. They were on the show floor. By the time I got there, it had closed, and everyone was in the bar. So it was all very boozy at the end. So no, I didn't. I did speak to, as I say, the editor of Home Cinema Choice, Mark Craven, who is a really nice guy, and was having a chat to him. And
I actually get that, or I got that. I think they discontinued it to me. But or did they go completely digital?
They're still on the stands.
Okay.
But I mean,
because I was getting it here.
Hey
Must have
DJ,
cost you-
Brockstar is like incessantly asking you if you got the video he sent you on Twitter. So I think it must be important.
When
I don't know.
DJ, did you see the video I sent you? Okay, there's that one. Let me undo that. Okay, and now here's the other one. Did you see the video I sent you? This show's going off the rails now that we have this stuff.
We're going to need that live ticker after all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was really cool. It was a very cool show and really fun to kind of be there for a few hours and just saying hi to everybody. And there are some pictures up on Twitter, and I got to meet some producers and some industry insiders who were really cool guys, and lots of stories, none of which I can say on air, but all kinds of fun. So yeah, it was cool. A nice bit of a change for me. I don't normally go to those sorts of shows, but I got invited. I was asked specifically to go, and I thought, well, now's the chance to fly the flag.
The Brightside Home Theater's paying off for you already. I mean, it's just before you know it, you'll have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I mean, you never know.
Matter of time.
I mean, it'll say Jason Statham, but whatever.
Well, that did come up. Yes, it did come up.
Apparently, it did. That was one of your little behind-the-scenes stories. That's not fit for air.
No.
Yeah,
not unless the Expendables will kick through the door, and that'll be the end of me. So better not.
Yeah, there you go. No, that's great. That's it. I couldn't wait to talk to you today. You're like, you got some good stories there, so definitely worth the trip for you.
Yeah.
Let's see. We did actually have a question in here. Blue Wave asks, interested what online websites everyone uses to purchase their physical discs besides Amazon. I
buy from Groove and also when the price is right, Best Buy.
Okay.
I don't know whether he means kind of to import or whether he means domestically. I'm not sure. Is Blue Wave American? I'm not sure.
Not sure.
No. But domestically, we've got shops. We still have retail outlets that you can go and buy this stuff in. There's only one, but we have one. But otherwise, it's Amazon. That's who I tend to use to import and stuff. It just depends. But yeah. So, but depending on who it is and where they are.
I use pretty much Amazon, and then other than that, I'd be importing something, and that could be various. You know, if I can't get it through Amazon, I don't know where I would be getting it, but I'm pretty much, if I need to get it, I get it on Amazon. So, yeah, good question, though. Something we haven't done, and I don't think we've ever done this, John, but let's welcome new listeners. Anybody, I mean, we are getting new listeners here and there. So anybody listening for the first time, thank you very much. Like we said, this is a home theater podcast. It's all about the experiences. Okay. And sometimes those experiences are tweaks, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, it's mostly about the sights, the sounds, and the scenes. So thanks for joining, checking it out. If hopefully you stick around.
Yeah.
And if you do, hit that subscribe button. Let's see. Patreon supporter of the week is Chai City Savage for 1 month. We're getting down to the end. We need some new ones because we didn't get any new ones.
There you go. That's my boy. That's how you do it.
Did I do good?
You did.
Oh, wow.
That's my boy.
Well, John and I have been practicing that all week. He kept telling me, nope, you say that, don't skip over it, keep going. Total donations for the month of February were $163, so thank you very much. And we ended up, and this, John's not going to be happy about this, we gave away 200 this month, last month.
So
there goes
we
my
went in the
boy.
wrong direction, yeah.
Exactly. So, but yes, I haven't had a chance to talk to my wife today, so she has another one set up for next month that we're going to be doing, so I'll have that information next week. So that will take care of that for this week. Giveaways. Let's do some giveaways here. I actually got a few in today that I didn't get a chance to add in, but let's get to the digital giveaways that I do have in here for this week so far. We have, for new ones, we have Hunt for Red October and War of the Worlds. So thank you. And I didn't write down who those were from. I think they're from Mark Hader, if I remember, or one might be from him and somebody else, but I forgot to write those down. It's been a very hectic week to say the least. So, and I actually owe some digital codes to Danny Speakers. He claimed a few, and I haven't gotten back to him yet. But yeah, so if any of the ones from the past weeks, if you hear, just let me know, and I'll shoot them over to you. And don't be shy, because sometimes I'll send them to you and they've already been claimed. So I don't know. I'm doing my best to keep track of this stuff. So let's see what else. What do we got coming up next? What are we doing? Tweaks? I'm running too many things over here.
I've got a tweak.
We got
to get to tweaks.
Steve has a tweak. Where's the sounder for that? It should be like. Oh no! There should be trumpets blaring and
yeah, the British. I don't know.
Yeah.
Big Ben,
Hail
Parliament.
to the Queen or something,
yeah, something going on.
King now, please.
Hail to the King. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You'll end up in the Tower of London, John, if you're not careful with careless talk like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Steve, grace us.
First time ever. So now I was
It's not
wondering
another setting on your iPhone, is it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. I found iCloud again. Now I was not sure whether this qualified as a home theater tweak, but I think it does, because I will say that as a result of this particular thing that I will read out in a minute, I think I've had the most theatrical and immersive experience this week from something that is not a TV show and is not a film. So, and there is some home theater stuff to come from it as well. So this is the PlayStation VR2 for the PS5, which it came out Wednesday last week, and I got it on Thursday. And it is incredible. Now, I know you guys aren't gamers, but I'm going to whet your appetite in a moment and see kind of where you go. But yeah, so first things first. So yeah, this is an add-on, a VR add-on for the PS5. It replaces the old VR for the PlayStation 4, and it's a plug-in, plugs into the front of the PlayStation 5, and away you go. And it's got Sense controllers and everything else. And it is, as I said, extremely cool. Yeah, absolutely Blue Wave. It's a surprise. I know. So no one was more surprised than me. So it's got a theatrical thing whereby you can watch movies and you can watch streaming services on this VR headset, and it's supposed to give you a 110-inch screen. Blah blah blah. And I watched a few trailers and stuff on it. Personally, I would not use it to watch movies on because it's not as good as a high-end panel or projector.
Yeah,
that is for sure. It's an OLED panel. Both eyes are OLED displays, and it's a 4K display when it's put together. But it's not quite as good. The color purity isn't quite as good, and it's not as it doesn't really do it for me. However, the games are a different story. And one in particular, I could talk all night about them, but I won't. But one in particular is a game called Star Wars Tales from Galaxy's Edge, which I really wanted to tell you guys about, knowing that you're not gamers. Now, with this game, I've been playing Star Wars.
It's not that we're not. It's that we don't do it right now. We were big gamers.
Okay.
Years and years ago.
Start dusting off the credit card then, fellas, because now all week I've been thinking, how do I explain this to you guys and make it make sense? So it's as I say, many good games on it, but this is the one. It's Tales from Galaxy's Edge. I've been playing Star Wars games since the 1980s, since the wireframe, Star Wars arcade thing going down the trench run of A New Hope. And I've played just about every Star Wars game since then. And I have never played a game like this before. This is genuinely like being in the films, not watching the films, in the films. Now, the problem I've got is I can't say to you what I normally would say, which is check it out on YouTube. Go and have a look on YouTube. Not now, obviously. But in due course, look it up on YouTube. But that would be like you guys trying to say to me, watch a bootleg video from the 1980s in mono sound of a Bruce Springsteen concert and saying that's what it's like to be there. It is just not comparable. YouTube videos do not do it justice. And this is it. The way I would describe it is, it's like a high-end Universal Studios ride. I don't know what that was. That was an unusual one, Deej.
He's just playing around over there.
Yeah, he's messing about.
No,
but it's absolutely incredible. You feel like you're there. You've got all the different blasters from the films. You can, you're shooting stuff in 3D, so it's proper Universal.
That's the
3D.
one I was looking for.
I'm glad that's what it was. And so it's absolutely phenomenal. You carry the blasters on your holster, and you draw it like Han Solo.
For real.
You can't fire it,
and it tracks all that.
You pick it up. Yeah, you can quick draw. You've got haptic feedback. So when you pull the trigger, there is recoil, and you've got trigger resistance as well. You get the blaster, you get the noise, everything. It is phenomenal. And again, you've got thermal detonators, Deej, not rocks. Thermal detonators that you can arm and you can throw. You've got little Jedi training, the little training remotes. And of course, not only do you have the 3D video, it's got 3D audio as well. So if you then put on the 3D audio headset, they move around you. And so you can tell where everything is as you're walking.
Right.
I promise you, I'm not doing
Can
it
you do
justice.
2-player?
No, it's a single player thing. But as I said, it's like Universal Studios, except it's in your own front room or wherever you want it to be. In my case, the cinema room.
Right.
And it is absolutely bananas. I could not believe it. Oh, and you've got little porgs nesting as well, so you can shoot at the porgs. But it's just absolutely incredible. Yeah. Well, quite indeed. And so it's really, really good, and by far my favorite theatrical cinematic experience of the week. Nothing comes close to this. So, I mean, it's not cheap. For you guys, you need a PS5 and you need the VR.
Right.
Units. You're looking at about what, $1,300 to get it all together.
How much is the VR?
It's 500. Sorry,
Yeah, so
£600 here, 569 here, and I think it's the same in dollars there. So you
probably
guys get it a bit cheaper.
$1,100.
Yeah.
So
if
it's
you
not
can get
cheap.
a PS5 for MSRP.
Yeah, quite.
Right.
But it was absolutely bananas. I'm loving it. It's really, really
That's
good.
awesome.
So if you get a chance to try it out, guys, do it, because I can't do it justice. So I don't know if anybody else in the chat's got one or seen one, but if you have, I'd be curious to see what
They
you
just
think of it.
came out, didn't they?
Yeah, like I say, a week ago. Yeah, just last Wednesday. Yeah. So, but people have been getting them. Very cool.
Yeah. There's a bunch of websites I'd like to try out with those as well, but
yeah.
I'm going to leave it right there. Go any further.
My tweak this week, Phil actually has a question that goes marries perfectly with my tweak this week. So Phil said in the chat, he said, "Do you gents have a movie suggestion that is great to test image quality and also sound quality?" And then perfectly, Mike answers with this. You just pulled the pin, Phil. But you know what? It's like I'm actually I'll leave his question up there because this is what I did this week. So I was hoping to be able to do that Kaleidescape update. I still haven't gotten it on my phone yet. So I don't know where it is. I've talked to other people. They've gotten theirs. Some got them on Sunday. Some had them, the first day. I haven't gotten mine yet. So, but what I did do this weekend is I sat down and for some reason, I just I'm looking at the screen and it was a little bit blurry and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm tired. Maybe it's my eyes. But then I got up and looked at it and I was like, this isn't right. And I put in my Spears and Munsell disc and I just 3 hours later, just tweaking, getting the image right and fine tuning not just that part, but getting my black levels, tuning them. But to do this, I had to go back and forth. You got to go back and forth between the Lumagen and then the black, how bright can I make my projector? Because you're trying to balance everything all at once. Like the Lumagen will go a certain distance and to shorten this a lot, not tell you all of that part, I started going through all my content again, and it just like the juggernaut of like dark HDR scenes, bright scenes, stuff like, House of the Dragon scenes, Game of Thrones scenes. One of my favorite scenes is the scene in Avengers when Thor and Loki are on top of the cliff, and they're just having a conversation. But that is a very difficult scene. There's a lot there if your HDR is set up right. Star Wars, just because I know it so well. So this is where I get into my answer to Phil, and Mike's right. We love to talk about these things. So you just pulled the pin. But in reality, the best answer I give to anybody is anything you know really, really well. And much like we were talking earlier, Steve, off air, is you need to know the content if you're going to use content to dial in your system. Because if you went and you put on like a soccer game over there and you'd be like, oh, the grass looks right. Yeah, but the broadcast might be wrong. So you don't want to use that. Typically, you don't want to use scenes to calibrate your system. You want to use scenes to test the calibration that you did, whether it would be audio or video, right? So, but I have a ton of scenes and I just went back and forth. I can't tell you how many times I watched Star Wars, the opening scene this past weekend, and I got one for you too. In that, right when they start to pan down to the scroll has stopped. It's gone off in the distance. And they start to pan down to the planet. On your left-hand side, it sounds like somebody's walking in clogs. You can hear like a click, 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 click. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what instrument did it, but it's over there. Because at one point, I was like, is somebody outside my room or something? But there's this neat little sound, and I've heard it I probably heard it 10 times this weekend, easily, maybe a dozen. So, but yeah, I fine-tuned it, and I was having, not issues, but I wasn't 100% happy with the quality on some of the scenes, especially in House of the Dragon. Like, I knew I could get a little better, and this has cleared it up. I mean, my brights are brighter, and my bulb is older. So I just fine-tuned all that, and I couldn't be happier. It's awesome. It was fun to do, too. So, John, do you have one?
I do not.
All right.
No tweaks. Yeah, no tweaks.
No tweaks this week.
No.
All right. We ready to get to listener experiences?
Sure.
All right. Let's see. Oh, all right. First off, listener experiences. Thank yous to Mark, Mike, Steve, Bill, Corinder, John, Carl, Todd, Nick, Dan, Jeff. And I'm sure there's more that I've forgotten. I tried to add everybody as I could. Just comments from people, whether it be YouTube, emails, stuff like that just were like, this is great. And, so thank you very much. Thank you to everybody for all the comments we get on Twitter and everywhere. So it's a lot of fun. But I'd also like to thank everyone for crediting me for building this community. It's really, it's not me. And that's what I wanted to say. It's like, we had a conversation on Twitter this week, kind of like came up, and everybody's like, oh, some listeners were, I think somebody bought somebody something or sent them something. And it's like, they're like, it just turned into this big, like, oh, thanks, DJ, for getting us all together. And it's not me. It's you guys and me. And I thought about it for a while this weekend after that conversation, because I was like, I'm not bringing this up to try and give us credit here or this. It's like, but this is what I came up with. We've all have relationships with significant others. And I'll use my wife and I as an example. And it's like, my wife's like, I don't look at myself as I've done anything special for to get my wife, to have my wife. It's just, it's a common, love, trust thing between the two of us. And it's like, and she thinks the same, like, I don't know what I'm doing, right? Whatever. Right. But it works for you guys, for us. I think that's where we're at with the listeners, and it's kind of embarrassing at times when people say stuff like this, and they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "We're just here," and it's like, it's just fun. And people, I appreciate you guys, and you guys appreciate us, but it's a two-way street. And that's just what I wanted to say. It's like I'm trying to give you guys a perspective, and Steve, John, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, because you guys are here too. It's not just me anymore, and you guys are part of this too. And it's like when people thank us, it's just, to me, it's overwhelming.
Yeah. Did you want to do your bit on that, John?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I like to think I'm the ultimate example of what I think they're talking about, because I'm only literally here talking to you guys. You guys were friends. You guys have grown up together. You guys known each other forever. Whereas me, I'm the living embodiment of I'm only here because of you, DJ. Because you didn't know me. I'm the other side of the,
right.
Not quite the other side of the world, but you know what I mean, across the pond. So I think I'm kind of with them, because you did bring me in particular onto this and as part of this, and so actually I'm the embodiment of what these guys are saying. So yeah, I get it. It feels kind of a bit strange when people say it to me as well. They're thanks for doing this, that, and the other. The modesty part of us is such that you feel, doesn't feel right. It feels a bit weird.
Right.
But I'm only literally here talking to you because of you. And then, and John as well being good enough to then invite me on the show, and then initially, just as part of a chat every now and then it was Takeover Tuesdays, and then Home Theater Tours, and now 10 minutes every week. That was 2 and a bit hours, and then
that didn't work.
Quite, and here I am. So I am here because of you.
Right.
So,
right. So what I would say is, before John goes, and I think John probably is going to say the exact same thing, I'm only here because of John. I couldn't have started doing this by myself. John and I started this together, and that's that exact mutual thing that I'm talking about, right? So it's like, if it wasn't for John, we wouldn't have sat down here, and John wouldn't be here if I didn't help. We didn't do it together, right? So that's the exact. It's like, they tell someone, and then they tell someone. So it's John and I, and then other people came on, and that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? So it's not me, and so.
Well,
do we eventually get to the point where we decide it's only because of Midway?
Right.
What were you going to say, John?
Well, I was just going to say, I come down sort of in the middle on that, because we started a different show, right? Like, we started out with Brightside Chat, and that was a comic book show, and that was our thing. Like, we came up with it together, we started it together, developed it. Everything was kind of mutual. And then you started this on your own, and this was a rolling machine when Steve and I joined it. So I kind of feel like you did like I felt like the other show was our thing. I felt like now we have stepped into your thing. And are, slowly making it our thing. But most of these listeners, everybody that's here now was here before Steve or I. And this was something that I don't think you give yourself enough credit for it. Because I do think you cultivated an atmosphere that you wanted. You've cultivated the listenership that you wanted, and absolutely, I think you are responsible for the way this show came together. And now, like I said, we're hopefully adding some different elements and making it a different thing. So that's my take on it. So,
but let me retort. Allow me to retort. John, we did chat, and I did the same effort in that I did here. Right. And this is the example. John knows exactly where I'm going with this. Chat did not have the response from the viewership or the listenership that we get here. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like we did a lot over at chat when we started out. And then I just brought what we were doing there to here. So like what John just said is correct. I did it. But all I was doing was duplicating what John and I were doing. but it's the listeners here that even John, when we were still doing chat, we was like, wow. Like, it's different though. I mean, comic book, podcast, there's millions of them.
Right. There's tons of them.
Right. There's not as many. So it's like, but the response we got from the people here is just, that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like, I want them to give themselves credit. Like, just keep on coming, bringing people in, and that's what we're doing, and that's what's fun. And so plenty to go around. That's what I want. That's what I wanted to say. So thank you, everybody, for everything. Both Steve and John, thank you for that. That was very, very nice. I wasn't expecting that, but
especially not from me. But
no, I know. I mean, you don't even say Christmas cards.
You can tell I'm sick.
Yeah.
High as a kite on
weather,
whatever
I'm
meds.
on a bunch of Mucinex and flying high.
Exactly. We did get, now we'll get into some comments, and I bunched them all up in here. I don't know if you guys saw this, I almost said snuggled because it's in there, but lots of comments on home theater seating this week. And almost every single one said, I think there might have been one or two that was like about kind of the way I'm about to say it, but every single one was, this is the right way. Right. And it was either you got to have home theater seating in your theater, otherwise it's not a theater. And then you have other ones that are like, that's ridiculous. Home theater seating is so uncomfortable. You got to have a couch, something that you can. And everybody was so, their mindset was just so like, you have to have what I have. And I'm like, that's not, none of this is right. It's like, it's what's right for you. Like, and I just thought it was so fun. Every time I got something, it was like people like, you're doing it wrong. Well, it's mine. Let me do it however I want. So, let's see. All right, that was that one. Who wants to read? Did we do the? You want to read G. Cornell, Steve?
This under one? The Brightside Home Theater goes to the movies.
Yep.
Yeah. So G. Cornell sent an email described as an elaborate email, describing his setup and how he dialed it in, and mentions a great point. So he positioned his speakers for the sound that he wanted from both 2-channel and multi-channel, and then treated the room and then ran room correction, and then refers to the room correction as like the cherry on the top.
Yes. Yeah. So he said, and that's why I summarized this one, because he gave me exactly what he did. That's not the important point. The important point is that it was an elaborate email. He did a lot to get the sound correct in his room. Then he ran room correction. Okay. And it's like, that's the idea. It's like sound treatments, positions of speakers, all of that stuff gets done. Then you run room correction. And they say this all the time over on AV Rant. It's named wrong. It's not to correct your room. It's supposed to be to tune it to what it can do. But it's not a replacement for actually treating the room. Now, in a living room situation like John has, it's a benefit because it can actually take that room and do the best it can with that room. But it should be like G. Cornell put, the cherry on top. So, but it was a great point.
Just whilst you're looking for the next one, DJ, I see a comment in the chat thing from Blue Wave about Silence of the Lambs. So just very quickly deal with that. So Blue Wave saying, do I own the 4K version of Silence of the Lambs? Is it worth the purchase? I've purchased 4K discs that work much better. The answer is no, I don't. And funnily enough, I've been thinking about getting it very recently. You've got it, haven't you, Deej? You and Jen are going to watch it, or have watched it at some point. But it's not out over here, so to get it, I've got to import it, and it's a lot. And it's hard to say with that film. I can imagine it looking really good, but I can also imagine it, because it was shot kind of down and dirty, so it's tricky. It is one that I want. It's one that I'm going to get, but I just haven't circled round to it. So the what I'd say to that, with your last sentence there about I've purchased some discs that aren't better, look at the reviews from decent, trusted websites and stuff, and obviously awesome YouTube shows, and trust those reviews, and then that gives you some informed sort of idea as to what to get. But it's one I want to get hold of. I love that film. Jen's favorite film, wasn't it, Deej, if I remember rightly on the podcast?
Yeah, that's what jumps to mind for her. I mean, she's loved that since we saw it in the theater. She's
I never saw it in the cinema. I was in Spain when that came out, so I never saw that in the cinema. I can imagine that if you saw it early in the theatrical run before word got out, I can imagine that of being a very unsettling experience in the cinema.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and it was, especially back then. It was a big deal, and I can't really remember. I don't remember thinking it was bad, but I flipped through it. I kept waiting to see it with her, and we just never got around to it. So, but I'll have to I can't wait to give it a good, reviewing. But I think it's pretty good. And what I remember from it is, I mean, it's one of those that you're like, well, it's the best it's ever looked, which isn't exactly the best thing to say, because sometimes the other ones weren't very good either. But yeah, I'll look into that. I'll look into that one.
And it might be enough to now convince me to get it.
Yeah, that's the thing where you have to import it and it's pretty expensive. I'd hate to be like, oh, what I saw was pretty good, so grab it, and be like, I could be wrong. So I'll read this one quick. Van Gool, the sights, the sounds, the dropped audio. So that was a lot of fun last week, huh? on the stream.
Yeah, but that's the cool thing about the listeners telling us. If they hadn't told us, we wouldn't know.
See? Yeah, but I cleaned it all up on the podcast that came out on Friday. You'd never know. Edited all that out. So, John, you want to read Brockstar's comment?
I've got Van Gool next.
That's the one I just read.
Shaun of the Dead?
The sights, the sound.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, there's another one underneath that.
My home theater experience.
Yeah, mine's not lit up. So why don't you take that one, Van Gool again?
Yeah, Van Gool. My home theater experience is Shaun of the Dead at around 1 hour, 10 minutes when Shaun in there. I'm not quite sure what he's saying, but when Shaun is there, you hear the zombies outside in all speakers. Very well done. So
I suspect. Have you guys seen Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah, quite a while ago though.
Yeah. I suspect that's in the pub, in the Winchester pub.
Oh, okay.
When whilst they're talking, there are zombies surrounding, and you can hear them moaning in all the different speakers. Have you seen it, Deej?
No.
Okay. No. I mean, it's very, very funny. It's very well done. It's British in every way, but it's really fun and worth seeing. That could be a fun Halloween one actually for you. I think you might get a real kick out of that. It is a great film, and it is a nice 4K disc. Talking about older movies being upgraded and redone, that one is a very, very nice 4K disc, and you can buy it. I think it's only available in the 3 flavors Cornetto trilogy, but you then get Hot Fuzz, which is amazing, and then they not quite as good World's End, but it's still worth having. So great. Those are very nice 4K discs.
Cool. All right. I'll read Brockstar's from Banshees of Inisherin review we did. Banshees was so weird, but I liked it. Slow movie, but enjoyable due to good writing and acting. It's not an action film by any stretch of the imagination. But it is weird. We said that when we talked about it too, right? You had that like witch character going on, and but I loved it. It's still one of my top movies of the year. Yeah, Steve, why don't you take?
Do you want me to do this one, or do you want to?
I want you to read it because I've read it many times. We had a great conversation through this, so and I'll get to that after you read it. But
at least it started. It's clearly titled for me, isn't it? Because it starts.
We'll leave the name out of it. We'll leave the name out of it.
No
just
worries.
Because it's a criticism, a critique. Did I?
Yeah, you did.
I don't know.
That's okay. But it started, dude.
It's only recorded.
So that's okay. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so this begins with a question. It says 3 hours and 34 minutes. Seriously? It says, DJ, I love the show, but you need to tighten these up. Nobody has that amount of time to listen to a podcast, especially on a weekend. I want the content you provide, but I want it in 2 hours. It's too overwhelming when they're this long. It's the same as these 3-hour Marvel movies. Way too long.
Woohoo!
2 hours should be the 2 hours should be the max for anything. Otherwise, it's just dragging on and on, except for The Godfather or an NFL game. Have a great weekend.
So we went back and forth on that, and he doesn't have the time for, like, when he sees 3:34, he's like, it's a non-starter because he wants to complete it, and I get that, right? And we went back and forth, and I'm like, but I said to him, I said, as difficult as it is for you once you start it, you have to finish it, and you don't want to start it if you can't finish it. As difficult as it is for you to do that, it's that difficult for me to try and regulate myself. And, you know, I put this in here because I appreciate all of these. I've received this critique before. It's too long. Shorten it up, tighten it up. Right. But I also get, and I said it to him, I'm like, I also get just as many. When we only go an hour and a half, people are all like, what happened? You're ruining my commute. I have an hour commute, and now I got a half hour, nothing to do on the way home, or whatever. People want it longer. They want the longer time. Right. So I'm not going to pick a side. I'm not gonna say no to the people that want 3 hours, and I'm not gonna say no to the people that want it shorter, or yes to either of them, because if I pick one, then the other one drops off. We're doing what we're doing. Today's probably going to be shorter because it has to be, because we've all got to get out of here. John's sick. It's like, but we're doing what we're doing. We're just having fun, and it's like we're producing what we can produce. And and he was great about it. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. He goes, but I just like it to be shorter so I can participate. I'm like, well, so put it on 2.5 or 1.5 speed.
There you go.
We'll all sound like one of the chipmunks.
Yeah.
But I'm normally not. I don't normally mind when someone tells me it's too long. I'm normally quite flattered, to be honest. Oh, sorry, you mean the podcast? Sorry, sorry. Anyway, moving on. Someone's got to bring the tone down.
Yeah, exactly, or up.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There you go.
I've done it again.
Let's see. Is it time for this sounder? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Or where's the
groaning one?
No. I think it's time to roll this one out, Johnny. What she did, because
I think she does, because of the way she
knows she pulled the trigger.
She fell on
right?
to Dick.
Right. But she, of course.
That's from Titans, by the way.
Oh, you just stepped all over it again. Here it is again. Yeah. Here it is. Yeah.
She fell onto Dick.
I think we're back talking about John's websites. He wants to watch in VR again.
Exactly. I rented that movie once.
It's so funny when you listen to the what she did. Yeah, I'll fast forward. But I don't think she realizes the magnitude, because Superboy was about to save him, and I skipped over it. Here we go. Right. But right there, listen to me after he says it, because I heard it, but I didn't want to acknowledge it, so I was like stunned. She knows she pulled the trigger.
She fell on to Dick.
Right. But she... I'm like live. I was like, did he just say that? Oh, God. That was so great.
Oh my!
Yeah. We had a good time. We're still having a good time. So so we have that going on. John, you want to read this 2023 action movies?
Yeah. 2023 action movies from G. Cornell. What 5 action films are you most looking forward to this year? I'm not sure I could even name 5 action films that are coming out this year.
I was thinking the same thing.
But I know for sure Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's it. I can't think of anything else. Like, what else is coming out?
Blue
John
do
Wick.
Not mind longer at all. The biggest benefit is you guys do the work to index the topics. Yeah, and I said that too. Sorry about that. But I put the show notes so you can skip around. I meant to mention that. But yeah,
Yeah, John Wick 4 for sure.
Yeah,
probably
that's this
my
month.
number one, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the Flash movie, like I talked about before. That's one. John Wick coming soon. Indiana Jones. What else do we have? I know it's not an action movie.
Mission Impossible, fellas.
Mission Impossible. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
2 years in a row. We're getting the second one's next year, right?
Right.
Yep.
Because they filmed them back to back or together.
We get the Meg 2.
The Meg 2.
Come on. I mean,
now I got to see the Meg
Puncher.
1.
Yeah.
Shark Puncher.
Puncher.
Yeah,
That's part of the Brightside trilogy of punching animals.
I'm sure there's. I just can't think of anything.
We get Across the Spider-Verse, so we get the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Got to have that one. Mission Impossible. Oppenheimer. Do you reckon that won't be an action film?
That's the one I was going to say. That
I was
going to
say Creed, and I don't think that's going to be.
Yeah,
that's not really an action film either. But I am looking forward to it.
This week. Yeah. We've got Gran Turismo, the film. Equalizer 3.
That could be good. Gran Turismo. That could be good. I really liked. What was the other the racing one? Need for Speed. I reviewed it on the podcast. I love that movie. It sounds amazing.
Equalizer. The first two were great, actually.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, the first one in particular. I think the second one was a bit odd. It did some different things with the second one. But yeah, it is good. Dune Part 2, fellas, in November.
Yeah.
See, I don't consider that an action.
I don't either.
That's more of an epic.
Yeah.
Okay. The Expendables 4.
That's an action movie.
For sure. I'm not really looking
sounds like a
forward
football
to it,
thing, doesn't it? This sounds like football results. Look, you've got The Expendables 4, Saw 10. Dune 2, Mission Impossible 7. Right.
No.
So there are some great ones, but Indiana Jones is one I cannot wait for that. And because of stuff we were talking about off air, I'm hoping I can see that early. So fingers crossed.
That would be nice.
Oh yeah,
really nice. Who's got the next one? Me. Who read the last one?
I just read that last one.
Yeah. So. Shall I do that Dan Carpenter one?
Yeah, knock yourself out.
Okay, so
should be quick.
So this was on the response to the home theater experience, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Dan Carpenter says the correct room correction is the one that sounds best to you. REW and Dirac are time consuming, but for some of us, it's also a lot of fun and a learning experience. The mini DSP is a great piece of hardware for tweaking your subs. That's all I use it for. To each his own, I guess.
Yep, exactly. Couldn't have put it better myself. That's exactly what we like to say here. It's like there's no right way or wrong way on you, right? If you try to do something that somebody else is doing and you don't like it, then that one's wrong for you. But just do what you like to do and be happy. Don't worry. Be happy.
Everybody. No, don't.
Everybody now. John, you want to write Chem E?
Sure. Chem E Mark commented on Ghostbusters Afterlife. Says the sound in this movie is highly underrated. Thanks for covering it. Do we think it's highly underrated? Like everybody I've ever talked to has praised the sound in the movie.
Yeah, but this is what happens when we talk about something that's been out for a while and it feels underrated because nobody's talked about it. It's always just like what's new and what's fresh, and that's why I like to do the older stuff. So we should get back to that a little bit and do instead of just doing the new stuff. And I'm not saying like as an assignment, but if you see something you haven't seen in a while, let's just watch it and let's talk about it.
And yet I'm very, very glad. And again, credit where it's due because Mark V is listening. So it's because of Mark's, encouragement, if not stalking, to watch it.
Incessant messages.
That'll be it. Yeah. Incessant is the word of the day, I think.
Yeah.
So thanks to his stalking, harassment, whatever else you want to call it. But we then watch it. I had forgotten, having seen it in 4K, at home. I didn't see it in the theater. I'd forgotten just how good it sounded and how good it is as a film. So I'm very glad he encouraged me to circle back round to it because it's a new demo movie. There are plenty of demo scenes, at least for audio anyway. So this again, we're back to the community. It's very cool that there are people that take the time to say, guys, can they care enough about what we think to say, guys, can you give this a watch? And we were able to accommodate it 12 months later. And so it's
but see how effective that was? Because otherwise we would have just been another of the hundreds of people talking about it. And but now we say it and we're getting comments like it's underrated, and it's like we're bringing it back to the forefront, and it deserves it, right? So it's stuff like that's what I like. So
let's start talking about Steamboat Willie then. It was a really good black and white comic.
Yeah.
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. Let's see. PK wrote in from Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now PK was on the show today. Did you guys get a chance to hear any of that yet?
Yeah, listen to about an hour.
Not yet. Not at all yet, actually.
Okay.
I saw 3 hours and it was a non-starter.
Well, that's the first thing I said to him when I got that email. I'm like, then you're not going to like the next 2 weeks of Takeover Tuesdays, because we had PK coming in at like 3:20, and then Todd and I recorded, which is going to be next week's podcast. Todd and I went over 3.5 because Todd wanted to beat PK.
Oh, jeez.
So, and there's a pretty big announcement coming up at the end of that one. Todd and I told Steve about it. I haven't told you yet, John, that the listeners, I think, will be interested in, and it could be a lot of fun. So, but yeah, sitting down with PK was Kiran. I don't know how to say it right. It's like when I was like, how do you say your name? And he said it, and then I'm trying to do it with the accent, and then finally he just goes, I don't know if this was in the podcast or not, but he goes, you can just call me PK. And I'm like, apparently I'm butchering it. But he does go by PK on here. But it was awesome sitting down with him and hearing the differences between here and India and the struggles that they go through over there, because home theater just isn't as big. But then some of the similarities too. There's a lot of similarities between us and them, and probably you. Same with you, Steve. We all have differences and similarities, but it's really, really cool. 10.5 hours apart is what we were, but we set it up and it worked out, and it was great.
I've never heard of the half-hour difference either. I know you mentioned that you hadn't heard of it. I've never heard of that. I thought the international dateline was hour. I've never seen a half hour in all my travels.
I've heard of it one other time, but I'm not like it's just odd to us over here because we only have 4 in this country. But it's
but bearing in mind, I grew up I was born in New Zealand, grew up in Spain, circumnavigated the world by plane 3 or 4 times, and I've never encountered the half-hour dateline change. And I said, not only not encountered it, never heard of it. So it's fascinating.
Isn't it?
The closest I've been to India is the Maldives. We spent a couple of weeks in the Maldives, mid-2000s, and that was, that was beautiful, by the way. But again, it was all hours. It wasn't half hours. So that was fascinating. Yeah, I did not know that at all. Every day's a school day.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was a lot of information in there. Great conversation. So thank you very much, PK. But PK says, PK here, I'll say, best part of Gurinder is it's an Indian fond way of referring to Punjabis.
Punjabis.
Yeah. He would know. Podcast was the best part of it. Was the podcast was the bat story and how it got upgraded from economy class to business class living room upstairs. It was lovely listening to his kids interacting with DJ. Shows his HT hobby of ours isn't just about ourselves and our electronics, but is a bond builder between like-minded people. Yeah, that again. Yeah, Gurinder and I, another great conversation, and then his kids coming in. That was pretty funny. So. Let's see. Oh, Mark V is in the chat now, and he's like, "Thanks again, by the way." I thought I put it in here, but did I send? Oh, I sent it to you guys, but I never put it in the notes. His apology.
Oh no, you didn't have to apologize.
I know, but
he did apologize in the chat before. He has just put an apology in the chat as well, Deej.
Yeah.
The one before the one you've just put up.
Well, I think it's because I said he was incessant. So
persistent.
Yeah.
Incessant. But it was funny because he's like, I didn't know you read all the other stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, we're happy. People are talking to us. They like us. They really like us. I have that sounder somewhere too. All right. Let's see. What's the next one we got here? Is that the last one?
Yeah,
Or did I
so-
miss one?
One more.
Okay, why don't you take that one, Johnny?
PK also.
Okay.
Never understood respectfully how DJ likes all Marvel movies. Quantumania was below par their standards. It's the lowest grossing Marvel movie in India. Post Endgame, the Marvel charm is gone and are too heavy on VFX nowadays, more cartoonish than polished and forced humor. Marvel is rushing to release their movies to match their Disney streaming web series releases. They have come out now saying that Quantumania VFX suffered because resources were diverted to Wakanda as it was more prestigious. That's a lazy excuse for one of the richest production houses. Earlier movies had strong character arcs and emotion driven, but now they are just bombarding with unnecessary long action pieces, poorly pictured in green screen or volume,
volume, I think it is. Yeah.
large lit LED screens in background. Even in Wakanda Forever, that flying fish villain Namor becomes a good person all of a sudden in one scene. In fact, nowadays, I am more interested in how DC Comics are going ahead. Can't wait for Keaton's return as Batman in Flash.
Okay, so everything I said about PK previously, out the window. He doesn't agree with me. He's done. No, actually, it's funny. I like Marvel movies. I don't like them all the same. I enjoy going. I actually agree with almost everything he said. Like, I'm way more fascinated with what's going on in DC just because we're kind of taking Marvel for granted. They do things, they do them well. We're expecting more. I think we peaked at Endgame, Infinity War and Endgame. Everything after that is going to suffer by comparison. And I think that's what we're going through here. And, you know, we're into what, phase 5 now? Is supposed to be Quantumania's phase 5. And I didn't even know we switched phases. We didn't have an event. So, you know, like an Avengers movie or something. So I still find them entertaining. They're fun to go to, but it's not Infinity War. It's not, I mean, and I take them for what they are. They're just comic book movies. I don't take them that seriously. Some comic book movies are better than others, of course. You know, you get into like the Batman or the Nolan series of Batman, and I mean, those are films, right? But yeah, I just enjoy them for what they are: bubblegum, fun, popcorn movies.
I think, in fairness, I was the one who was the most keen on Quantumania. You know, I'm the one that liked, because I really, really liked it. I really enjoyed that, and I mean, I get, as I said, why people don't, but I thought it was fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it again. So I've been down on, you know, Thor: Love and Thunder, Takeover Tuesday Part 2, I think was mostly Love and Thunder, and you know, and things like that. I did not particularly like that, and Wakanda Forever again as well. It's all right. It's not brilliant. So, you know, I think all you can do is call it as you see it.
I think we also now are tending to look at everything that led up to Endgame through rose-colored glasses as well, because not every movie leading up to Endgame and Infinity War and Endgame were like tens either. You know, there was a lot of misses in those groups of films as well. Although granted, it's hard to pick out too many that are worse than some of the ones we've gotten recently, but yeah, not everything. You know, Endgame and Infinity War. You know, I hate to throw around the term masterpieces when you're talking about comic book movies, but I mean, they were a notch above, but not everything that led us there was, you know, was a 10. So,
yeah, no, yeah, you're right. And well, look at the beginning. We had Iron Man. Well, that was really good, but then we had the Hulk. Right, you know, the Incredible Hulk, and it was like,
I like that. I like that.
We had Iron Man 3. We had Thor: Dark World. We've had and they're all fine, but they're not 10s. They're not.
Yeah. So, all right, that's it for listener experiences. So, are you ready to get to 4K releases?
Yes.
All righty, let's do it. There you go. What did you think of that, huh?
Cool.
A little finagling over here on my side. But yeah, all right. So 4K releases for this week. I don't have any images for this. Hopefully, moving forward, we'll have some images in the future if I can work on that. So we already did March 7th. So we're up to next week. No. Yeah, next week's
week is
March
March
7th.
7th, yeah.
Okay. Oh, we talked about it ahead of time, though. So March 7th coming up, we have Air Force One in 4K, a Steelbook. Is that already out, Steve? I think that's already out.
I've got that. Yeah, it is.
Same with Mask of Zorro. Mask of Zorro's been out. That's getting a Steelbook. Mildred Pierce 4K from 1945. Boys, anybody heard of that?
I mean, I've heard of the movie, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, I've never met her.
Yeah.
No.
Don't know her.
Don't know the woman.
Yeah. Nope. And then Rocky 2 in 4K from 1979.
That's the Steelbook. Yeah, that's the Steelbook.
That's another. But it's also, I think, the first time it's being released separately because the set came out, the week before, I think? Something like that.
Wow.
So, all right. That will do it. A nice,
That's quite a week.
Nice.
Yeah,
Quick.
Quick, easy, nice, tidy week. That was 1 hour now, and now all we have left are listener experiences, guys. Listener experiences.
Our experiences. Yeah, we've done.
I'm sorry, not listener.
Now they can
experiences.
experience
Home
us.
theater experiences, real experiences. I got to come up with a graphic so I can just read it. Yeah, no, real, REEL. Real experiences.
Sweet.
See?
Nice. Smooth.
I gotta come up with the graphic. I actually have the graphic for it. I just gotta import it into here. So who wants to go first? Actually, I only have let's go in order. So John, you go first with your one and so forth. And,
Okay.
All right.
Piggybacking off of last week's Godfather, we kids came over again this weekend and watched Godfather 2. My son is all into it now because he's never seen them. So again, much of what I said last week about The Godfather holds true with The Godfather 2. There's nothing about these discs that are reference quality, but these are the best versions of these movies we've ever had.
Yeah.
Again, seeing this movie on 123 inches, again, I was 4 years old, never saw it in the theater. So this is the closest I've ever come to a theater experience with it. Sorry, Steve. It's a great movie. Really, really enjoyed it. And like I said, I thought it looked and sounded great. But by that, again, don't take that to mean that they're not Top Gun Maverick or Ready Player One or anything like that. But this is the best they've ever been, and imagine could be. So
Yeah. It's I didn't watch this one. I flipped through it, same thing, and I saw that it was similar to The Godfather, and I was just like, oh, okay, it's good. All right, moving on.
I'm glad I've seen it again, recently, but I just began to struggle with the length of it. It was a little bit meandering.
It is
there are
long.
some great bits in it. There are
almost
some
a
really
non-starter.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's 3.5
it's
hours long.
Quite. And I don't know. I think I might have done it a disservice by watching The Godfather one day and then trying to watch this the next day. I think I just was kind of, Godfathered out. And probably therefore should have. Yeah, I mean, I never watched Coda. I've still got that to watch. The part 3 again. So we're clear. And I haven't seen that yet. So if you now move on to that, I'll be curious to see what you make of that.
Right, we'll probably do that this coming weekend because, like I said, the kids are kind of into going through the 3 of them. So they'll be back, I think, Saturday to watch the 3rd one. So
yeah, I shall definitely look forward to your
and
view
that
on
one.
that.
I will
That might be enough
expect
to watch it.
a difference in picture, because that's a much newer movie. So I imagine we'll see a big uptick in the quality on that one. And now, not to say that the movie itself, because I don't remember really enjoying it all that much, but I'm also going into it with an open mind and trying to see if maybe I did it a disservice, back when I first saw it. So.
Good. I look forward to. Yeah, based on your word on that, then if you say that's good, then I'll go back and see the 3rd one. Yeah, I've got them. I just not got around to it.
Right.
I have them all too, and I haven't gotten around to them. So, all right, you want to go next, Steve?
Yeah. Okay. So the next one, it's not a home theater experience because I watched this on a screener, which is a way of watching it that it's not in Atmos and it's not in 4K. And this, as the screen confirms, is Knock at the Cabin, the M. Night Shyamalan film, which is fairly recently come out. But I put this in there not because of the theatrical experience or home cinema experience, just because I wanted to talk about it. And because it's my only horror film of the week, and I feel like I'm letting people down if I don't at least have one kind of horror stroke thriller of some form. This is the only one. So yeah, an interesting film, and I'll be curious to see if others have seen it, what they make of it, and with you guys, I'll be curious to see what you think as well. It's a what if movie, one of those thrillers where the idea is, what would you do? How would you respond if this happened to you? And I don't want to ruin it. The story is set up in the trailer, but essentially these four people that you can see on the screen there turn up at a cabin where there is a couple staying with a young daughter, and they give them an ultimatum and say, you have to do something horrible, otherwise something even more horrible will happen. And it is trying to put you in the shoes of these people and then decide what would you do. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. My only issue is the ending, which is unambiguous. What is going on is clear by the end, I think. And I wanted a bit more ambiguity. I would have liked it to have been a little bit less neat in terms of how it resolves. So yeah, I'll be very, very curious to see what you guys make of it. But I enjoyed it for what it was, and I'll definitely pick up the 4K disc. There were a couple of kind of fun little sound moments, even in stereo, which is how I watched this. But you can already tell that there are some fun little things and creaks and that kind of stuff going on. And funny enough, Carl and is mentioning in the chat there that it was brilliant at Dolby Cinema. Because of, again, footsteps on the floor. And I agree with that, actually. This is the most recent one. You can tell that these footsteps creak around the room. Even in stereo, you know that this is what's going to be happening. So I'm looking forward to seeing it again properly. And if you're a Shyamalan fan, and I am, albeit he's made some stinkers of late, but I'm one of the few people that really liked Old, his last one. I thought that film was fascinating and terrifying all in the same sort of thing. So yeah, it's worth seeing.
Okay. I'm a huge Shyamalan fan.
I mean, he's made some dross.
Oh yeah,
but he's made some great stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody's like Spielberg. I mean, even Spielberg made AI. So
yeah, yeah, indeed. And Hook.
Exactly. So yeah, it's yeah. Oh, Carl. DJ, time for floor speakers. That comes up later today. I have a part of one of my reviews. So, yeah. So is it really like, I'm not a big horror fan. So is this like a horror movie? Would that turn me on, or is it more of an M. Night type?
It's a thriller. It is a thriller.
Okay.
There is the gore in it is interestingly portrayed in as much as there's not a lot of it. It's heavily hinted at. You don't see it. Much of it is not done in camera, or it's just slightly out of frame. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting in that regard. As I said, you'd want to watch it with Jen and John. You'd probably want to watch it with Lydia, because afterwards you're going to want to talk about what would I have done? How would we, if you had to make the decision that this couple and their daughter have to make, what would you have done? And there's the conversation after. I mean, you'll be talking about it for days, I suspect.
Are these like divorce conversations? Like, I would have clearly chopped your head off, like.
If not divorce, then perhaps the police and some sort of ill. But that's but it's a fascinating kind of thing to think about. Not only would you have made the choice, but also would you have accepted that the choice needed to be made, or would you have just dismissed it and gone, "You guys are all crazy and you can get stuffed"? That's the sort. There's that conversation as well. And I've seen at least one review which does suggest, I'm not going to forget Sisu, Mark, don't worry. So that's a trailer. It's just absolutely, very, very, very fascinating as to whether there is ambiguity in this or not. I didn't think there was. I think there is an answer at the end of this film, which I think is a shame. But it's very good and well worth watching for sure. Sorry, well, just whilst we're talking, because Mark V brings it up, so I don't forget. Have you guys seen the trailer to Sisu? Did you see that online?
No.
I was tweeting it incessantly. There's that word again.
Yeah,
it's the word of the day, folks. Well, John, you need, as soon as we are finished, okay?
Sisu?
Yeah, SISU. DJ, you too, but for John, it's a drop everything and see it. All right, it's a trailer for a film that's come out of nowhere, a Flemish revenge film, which is set in 1945. It's from the trailer. This is, so not giving you any spoilers that aren't in the trailer. A Flemish ex-special forces commander in 1945 who is picked on by some Nazis and appears to basically decide, I'm going to kill you all. And then so you get the kind of the quite cool Norse Scandinavian stuff, albeit that it's in English, mixed with some serious John Wick style kind of Nazi killing.
Cool.
But the trailer is bananas and well worth seeing.
Where's this film coming to?
Well, this is the thing. It's a Lionsgate release, so I think it's getting a cinema release. It just says coming soon on the trailer, but boy, oh boy, is it good. And anyone listening, I'm grateful for Mark for typing it in the chat. So it's Sisu, SISU, and honestly, it is bonkers. So yeah, well worth checking out. And same with you, DJ. I think you'll like it too. But it's got a bit of a. John and I have obviously got a Scandinavian interest, and so there's a little bit of extra stuff in there. And Sisu apparently is Scandinavian for won't quit, Flemish for won't quit, grit, determination, all that stuff. So yeah, very cool, and some very creative use of landmines.
Well, sounds right up my alley.
I think your eyes will pop out of your head in this trailer.
All right. Let's see. We'll move on to. I'm next, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The Fabelmans from Steven Spielberg. Watch it on Kaleidescape. It's not a home theater movie by any stretch. Picture's nice, but not. It's a drama. Did you see this, Steve?
I still haven't seen it. This is why when I saw it in the notes, I thought,
you haven't seen it, right, John?
I have not.
Okay. It is really, really good. I was torn. It's not a home theater movie, but I was torn on. It's probably one of my favorite movies of the year, but I don't know how that's going to, I'm trying to think for, it's up for Best Picture, right? And that's what we were talking about. If I had a vote, I would probably vote for it. But at the same time, this is where I'm having a little trouble because I don't know how it's going to resonate with most people. It is very much based on art and being an artist. So I've had some listeners email me and be like, you got to see this, DJ. This is right up your alley. And the scene with Judd Hirsch, he's only in the movie for 10 minutes, but he's up for Best Supporting Actor. And when you see it, you'll know why. It's just an amazing, it's not really a monologue on what he goes on what it means to be an artist and stuff, but it's he's talking and just what when his scene is done, you're it went right through me. I was just this, it's all stuff that I've said on this podcast that I've said my whole life. And you're holy crap. The ending is really neat artistically too. It's really fun on what it means. When you guys see it, we can talk about it. But I thought it was a lot of fun. It's a fun little nod that it says it's from Steven Spielberg, right? And it's written by and directed by and all of this. And there's kind of a nod that this entire story, and then at the end, it's him. We'll talk about it when we get there, but it's been him directing the movie. But it's really, really good. a lot of people I've heard comparing it to 525/77. It's nothing like that. This isn't like that at all. It's it's more of like a fictional depiction of his life. Okay, it's whereas 525 is Patrick Reed Johnson. It's pretty much his life. And when I talked to, when we were talking to him on AV Nirvana, it was like, he was just like, oh no, this is all there. I had to take stuff out, but this is my life. This is like a fictionalized version of Steven Spielberg's. I don't know what's real and what isn't here, but it's, when you see it, you'll understand what I mean. It's not at all, I don't think, like 525/77. But it is really good, and what it means to grow up and be the way Spielberg probably was growing up, and how it's difficult. It like I said, for me personally, I'd be like, it's like my movie of the year, but I understand, like, this isn't really going to resonate with a lot of people. It's just they're going to be like, yeah, whatever.
Tell me this, Steve, is it worth buying?
It's worth buying to me in the way, like, you want to own, like, Lawrence of Arabia, Casablanca. This is a movie. Like, it's entertaining. It's very entertaining. I will watch this again. It definitely repeat viewings. I want to watch it again with Jen. She didn't watch it with me this time. But I think it is, because, I wouldn't be surprised if it won Best Picture, because if most of the people voting are artistic people, and it's going to resonate with them. But I think a lot of people might not get that part, and I understand that. It's a mindset. It's a way.
And is it worth buying in 4K?
Yeah. Yeah, the picture is nice. There's nice gradations and stuff, but it's not like when we think of like Punch, there's some shots of like light coming through windows. I just always want to have the best possible quality, and but again, it's not like super dynamic in any way. There is one scene in particular by a campfire that really takes advantage of the HDR, I think, in that, and not in, when you see it, it's not in an obscene way or anything like that, but it's more of a tone setting and the colors and the vibrancy that you're going to get from the campfire, from the background, from this. You'll see what I mean. But definitely worth, I think, owning in 4K. Absolutely. So
nice. We don't think we've got a date for it here. I think it's out there quite soon in 4K, whereas I don't think get it for a little while yet. But yeah, okay, I'll definitely pick it up. I'm a little uncertain about it, because I've not grown up wanting to make movies, make art, like that kind of thing. So I'm a little wary as to whether it's going to be a movie that is, as you rightly say, whether it's going to resonate with me or not. But I'm hoping that Spielberg could make reading the phone book interesting. So hopefully that will come through anyway. So yeah, all right. I look forward to picking that up.
Yeah, if nothing else, if you've known people that are artistic, if you know anybody that's an artist or is that got that mindset, it's a good depiction to me on the pain, and what people go through, and so if you want to understand it, maybe don't own it, but see it. So
yeah. Well, Carl is saying just rent the bloody thing first, and yet I can't do that. I don't like doing that. I prefer to just buy it. You know what I mean? I always feel if I'm renting it, I'm doing myself a disservice. Hence Blimmin' Midway. That's what I probably wish I could have just rented. But I'm always someone who just prefers to just buy it. Then I've got it, and if it's rubbish and it's only happened once, and I've got between nearly 700 4K discs now, and only one of those 700 was not allowed to go in my collection midway, in case you're wondering. And whereas all the others is fine. So I think, based on what you said about it and everybody else, and again, the chat's really clear about it, is that it's a good film and it's worth seeing. So yeah, I'll pick it up when it comes out. Really, what I think I was wondering is whether it's worth importing it, but I think I'll wait.
Yeah, I would definitely wait. Don't rush to see it. I would hate to see it, but because for all you know, I'd rather have you just wait and get it and go, oh, I wish I imported it, instead of importing it and going rubbish. So.
There was no aliens in it. I didn't see a big shark. I didn't see it. Honestly, there was no tabletop mountain. I didn't see any of that stuff.
Exactly. All right. Who's up next? We have John, number 2.
Probably me, I guess. Yeah, so, well, I guess after watching The Godfather 2, we got into a conversation after the movie, and somehow Heat came up, and my wife had never seen this. So, having just bought the disc on 4K for $8 about 2 weeks ago on Amazon, I said, oh, well, I can remedy that. Let's go put that on. Now, I've read a lot of negativity about this movie in regards to the transfer of it. And I'm sure you both have it and have both seen it. Now, I didn't put in the Blu-ray to compare the picture quality of both, but I don't find this any darker than, say, Batman or any episode of House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones. I didn't have any trouble watching this movie. I thought it looked acceptable. I don't know what you guys' thoughts on this might be, or maybe you're more familiar with the Blu-ray transfer than I am, but I've read nothing but bad when it comes to this movie, but I just didn't find it to be that bothersome for me. So but
so
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when this came out, I really like the transfer of this, but it's I think it came out right around the time Ambulance had come out, and we talked about that. Todd and I definitely talked about it when we reviewed Ambulance, and this movie isn't as dynamic. The entire movie, right? The writing isn't as...
But I don't think, I don't think it ever was to begin with.
Right. And but I think nowadays when people get a 4K something, or, 4K with surround sound and this, you want that, dynamic image. You want, the Batman isn't as dynamic as, say, Thor Love and Thunder. Right. The image, it's a different type of image, and that's what Heat is like. It's a little bit more subdued. This movie is about the dialogue. It's about it's about the acting. There's so much more to it, and I think the 4K gives you that. I think the image that they're putting in this, it gives you that focus on the story, the acting, everything that's going on, and even the shootout in the street. Right. When you compare it to Ambulance, you're like, it feels muted. But but by the time you get there, that shootout is a huge deal.
Right. And this is not Dolby Atmos. It's 5.1, obviously upmixed to Neural X for you and I, for all of us. But yeah, I found it I thoroughly enjoyed it. The movie itself is fantastic. I obviously haven't seen it in over 25 years because that's how long my wife and I have been together. So I probably saw this shortly after it came out on DVD, and that was it. But really, really enjoyed it, and I thought it looked. Again, it's not a reference.
You don't have the Laserdisc?
I might have. Well, I might have had it. I don't have any of my Laserdiscs now, but except for Star Wars. But that's probably the last time I've seen this because obviously we have never watched it together, and we've been together 25 years. So but anyways, thoroughly enjoyed the experience. I thought it looked fine. I don't see what all the hate is about. I am tempted to throw in the Blu-ray at some point this week just to see.
Compare.
But I thought it looked great. I thought it sounded fine. It's again not any disc that I would call reference for picture or sound, but I think it's definitely a movie you should own. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and my wife really enjoyed it. So Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it as well, Deej. We talked about it on one of our Across the Pond segments, those 10-minute ones.
Yeah.
And the sort of 10 minutes times 120.
Right.
I agree. I think it is darker. I likened it as I was watching. It was like watching a film with sunglasses on. Right. That's kind of how so it has been color timed differently. It is darker, but Michael Mann seems to have wanted to make it look murky. We talked about whether the color had been drained deliberately. It's this idea, it's not black and white, it's shades of gray. Everything's is deliberately drained. It's not this ultra glitzy Los Angeles. It's not, that's not how it's going to be. And it seems that preserves his intent. It seems to be this more washed out, darker kind of look to it is what Michael Mann wanted, and he's always been quite an experimental visually filmmaker. I mean, you look at Miami Vice and you look at Collateral, and the early HD video stuff that he was shooting on. So it does. It's like you say, it's not reference. But it's perfectly serviceable and it's good. And I don't think you can criticize the movie for that. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say, just because this film, of course, and I don't want to bring the mood down, fellas, but this film has Tom Sizemore in it, and of course, Tom may not be with us much longer. Right. So I'm sure we're all thinking about that, and obviously sending our best to his family and friends, because it's a shame what's happened.
Right. Yep. All right. Who is Steve? You're up.
Next one. Okay. So my next one then is I'll let you do the thing. So the next one then is Soul. There it is. Absolutely. The Pixar animated movie, which I watched on 4K disc and in Atmos. A bit of a random choice, this one. Just kind of came off the shelf and there it was. And
just fell in your lap.
Well, not quite, but sort of. Someone that wanted to see it sort of mentioned it a little while back, and I thought, okay, so we watched it together. I saw it when it came out on Disney Plus back in 2021, I think it was, and watched it then. And I remember thinking it was okay, it was fine, but I didn't see it in the cinema room. Again, I watched it one Saturday afternoon in the front room. So this was the first time watching the 4K disc, even though I'd bought it straight away as soon as it came out. And so first time seeing it in proper 4K, HDR, and in Atmos. And I enjoyed it much more this time. I thought it was actually very, very good this time around. Looks beautiful, of course, as you would expect. It's obviously a direct digital transfer. It's in 4K, and it looks beautiful. The HDR is lovely. Lots of lovely fall colors, and you've got the autumnal sort of leaves. You've got the beautiful dark. When he's playing jazz and goes into the zone, you then get this lovely dark colors in the background, and then lighter colors in the foreground, and all sorts of lovely purples and blues and everything else. So it looks great, but also, and quite surprisingly, there's some decent audio in this. The Atmos is really well done, and when there are the bits where they're going to the great beyond, there's actually some fairly powerful bass as well. And that cuts it every time that you get this thing. So it's actually really decent. And so not only is it a good film, but actually a really solid home theater experience. And I was enjoying that just as much as I was the film. The music, it's all about jazz, as people will know. And the music's really nice. Again, the music floats around the room and when you want it to, and that's really nice. I'm very, very impressed at this. I mean, I've had it for ages. I had it the day it came out on 4K disc, but never got back around to watch it. But I'm really glad I did, and highly recommended for those that perhaps saw it in Disney Plus. If you can pick it up cheap, you haven't seen it, I would recommend rewatching it in 4K, on the disc rather than the stream, because it's great. Really enjoyed it.
Cool.
Have you guys seen it?
I watched it on Disney Plus again back when it was, because I think this was one of those COVID movies that was released there only, right?
Yeah, Christmas Day, wasn't it? Was it Christmas Day this one, or in the build up to Christmas, something like that?
So I remember really enjoying the movie as well, but again, I didn't buy the disc and I haven't watched it that way. But I thought it was a great movie, so it might be worth picking up.
Yeah, Carl saying he really liked it as well, and I think it's definitely a one to revisit. It was really a pleasant experience to do it. When you do that, you cut poor John off, Deej. When you put those up, that's the only problem. We just get the top of John's hair.
I know. One flaw.
Yeah.
or positive.
Or that's a positive, really. I don't know.
So yeah, well recommended. I definitely recommend that, guys. Give that a go. Anyone listening who hasn't seen it, definitely give it a go. Yeah, that was great.
Cool. I will add it to my my digital
Your animated movie
my
list.
animated movie list. Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to this next one, D.
Oh yes. So up next we have it's me and I got to use two hands here. There we go. Beast on Kaleidescape. I believe was it 4K and Atmos. Did you have it in Atmos, Steve?
Yes. So the Blu-ray is in Atmos, but obviously only 1080p. So yeah. So do tell.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, probably because I had the perspective that I already came into it with lower expectations on reality, right? But I didn't find it to be, your description of it, I didn't find it to be as egregious because I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, you got to make a story. I mean, if you went with reality, nobody would be there. Right? So like a lot of the things you were saying are true, but then you don't have a movie, right? So you had to make a movie, and I thought it was really good. I had a lot of fun, and especially as a home theater movie. Again, leave your brain at the door, just enjoy it. There's some scenes that you're like anything else. It's kind of, you know what I liken it to. It's like a little bit like Mission Impossible, right? Those movies. Some of the stunts that he pulls off in there in real life, you'd be dead. You can't do that, right? And then there's some things here that happen in this movie that you'd be like, no. There's no way. But that scene that you were talking about, the sunroof, I think it was.
About 45 minutes in, when he's under the Jeep. Yeah.
The 43 minutes. Yeah. The 43 minutes when he's trying to get through the sunroof. The sounds overhead were really cool. But then at 45 minutes, there was
underneath it. That's the bit.
And the daughter's voice talking to him. It felt like... it reminded me of like a video game when you're in a video game and they're trying to tell you to do something, like the AI is trying to talk to you, but it was overhead and it was like kind of behind you, and it was really cool. But great bass, I thought, throughout this. I thought the growls of the different, animals were great. What did you think of, I don't remember if you mentioned it. What did you think of the CGI of the animals?
Very good. Yeah. I thought now bear in mind, I saw it in 1080p. You'd have seen it in 4K. But I thought there were no real animals in that at all, as I understand it. These were all CG. I thought there were a couple of shots that are a little bit uncanny valley, but not many. I think overall, for bearing in mind the budget of the movie, I think the CGI was actually very, very decent. I thought it was good. I wondered if they'd use some of the files from the Lion King, the live action Lion King,
probably,
because it looks photo real.
It does.
Yeah. And what did you think of when he was under the Jeep and you got the lion circling and then on top and trying to sort of, you could feel the Jeep crushing over the top. Yeah.
And you, like you said, like on either side of you, it's like you felt like you could. I mean, it really did take advantage of the whole room. There was a lot of location stuff too, especially, not the jungle, but animals in the distance. There was a lot of atmospheric stuff going on. I thought that the early on scene when you first see the lions and there's an interaction there, paying attention to their feet, the lions, right? And they're moving in sand. And then the sand is moving correctly. The shadows are all right. Everything. The lion looks real, and it's like, and even the actors acting like there's a lion on them. I thought it was really good. It was, it was fun to watch. It was very entertaining and a really good home theater experience. I wouldn't say it was reference. Maybe it has some good, really good Atmos to it, but it's not something that I don't want to mislead people and be like, you got to get this because it's got amazing Atmos. There's some cool effects that they do, but it's really good, but I wouldn't say it's reference. So
yeah. I mean, I as I said, my issues are more with the story and the, not only the ending, and which is just not going to happen, but they walking into a room and leaving the door wide open. And that kind of stuff was just like, come on, we can resolve this in a different way, please.
Yeah.
But it's I think if you're going to watch this film, watch it for the home theater experience, perhaps, rather than the story. Yeah. But there it is.
Oh yeah,
I'm so glad you saw it though. I'm really pleased you saw it.
Yeah, it was good.
When I saw you put it in the notes, I was like, ooh, yeah. Look forward to see what do you think of it. Good man.
Yep, it was fun. All right, let's see what do we got. John, were you up next?
Sure.
What do we
All
got?
right. So next up, I watched. We watched We Have a Ghost. This was on Netflix. It's a new movie dropped, I think, just Friday. It was in 4K, HDR, Dolby Atmos. This stars Anthony Mackie and David Harbour. It's ultimately a comedy, but it brings there are some elements of kind of action adventure and even some even hits you in the feels a little bit at the very end. But this just to go over the movie a bit real quick, started out really silly, and I was thinking, okay, this is just going to be one of those, kind of goofball comedy movies. But like I said, it brought a little bit more to it as it went on. Like I said, there was a little bit of mystery, a little bit of it action adventure, and then it had a kind of a touching end to it. So it was more than I expected from this at the very beginning. I'm not going to say it's like y'all need to rush right out and watch it. It's not like great, but it was good. It was good, and then, but home theater wise, really, really good. Some really good visuals. The HDR looked great. Some really, really colorful scenes. And then the Atmos was really good. It is a ghost sort of horror haunted house type of movie. So you get the standard clangs and, moans and creaks all around the house when certain things are going on. Really, like I said, really good home theater experience. Okay movie. If you've got 2 hours, you could definitely do worse things with
that's
it.
2 in a row. We got Beast and We Have a Ghost.
Yeah.
It's like, it's okay, but a good home theater experience.
Good home theater experience. But and like I said, it brings more to it than what you're going to expect when it starts, because it does start out kind of silly. You just think it's going to be one of those, like National Lampoon kind of movies, or Scream or something like that. And it's not. It has a little bit more to it. But yeah, like I said, it really enjoyed it. Again, Lydia and I both had a really good time watching it. And it was a good experience home theater wise. So
cool. All right. Awesome. That sounds good. And it's on Netflix. So
it's on Netflix. Yeah.
And Jen likes those type of things. So we'll check that out.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Steve?
Okay. So
you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. So if you've got 2 hours, don't watch this next one.
Don't watch this one.
Okay, so this is Plane, the Gerard Butler film, which is a massive shame. And the reason it's a massive shame is that I thought Gerard Butler was starting to get better. He made some rubbish and was struggling a bit after some very good early movies. And then he appears to be on the slide again, which is unfortunate because Greenland was really good. Den of Thieves was really good. And what was the other one that we watched the other day that was really good? Oh, goodness me. I can't remember what it was. And so he started to make some interesting movies again. And now we've gone back to this. So Plane. it's I saw this as a screener again, so I'm not going to review the home theater experience. Okay. Obviously, John's rushed off to watch it. So he couldn't wait. He's just got to see it straight away.
Yeah, he's got to go see it.
Yeah. So I can't review the home cinema, although I'm sure it's going to sound great and look great. But it's about a pilot who the plane goes down. It's all in the trailers. Plane goes down on an island in the Philippines. And then what happens is they, wouldn't you know it, the island they land on just happens to be full of nasty rebels and mean people. What did you think of the film, John? Did you, sorry, just kidding. Thought you rushed off to watch the movie.
No, I haven't. Had to get some more water, man. My throat is killing me.
No worries.
But no, I haven't seen it.
No. So wouldn't you know it, they land on the Philippines where there are mean people. And the mean people then decide to be mean to the passengers, and then various things ensue. Unfortunately, it is ludicrously, stupidly lug-headed, and again, I'm sorry to use that word again, but unfortunately, I also think it's outrageously racist as well. You know, it's these people on this particular island, they must be nasty people, and because they're nasty, they're going to do this stuff to us, and it's grubby and it's unpleasant and it's ridiculous as well. And I was really disappointed with this. I was hoping it was going to be a really solid, stupid film. Unfortunately, it's just a really rubbish, stupid film. Yeah, it's just a stupid film. So yeah, I'm really disappointed by it. I don't know whether anyone else has seen it. I know you haven't seen it, John, obviously. Deej, you've not seen it yet, presumably?
No, and I can't remember who did. Somebody we know saw it and liked it.
Yeah, so, I get people will. I think perhaps, I really liked White House Down. Olympus Has Fallen. Sorry, forgive me. Although I did like White House Down as well. But Olympus Has Fallen. I really liked that. But I thought the second one, London Has Fallen, was dreadful. And again, racist. And then you've got Angel Has Fallen, which wasn't too bad. But then he's made some better stuff recently. As I said, Den of Thieves was really good. Greenland was really good. Hunter Killer was all right. Second time round, anyway. I'm trying to think of what was the one in the police station.
Cop Out.
Not Copland.
I have that. It's It's on my list to watch too.
Massively irritating. What the heck was it? Oh, I can't. Do you know what? That's going to annoy me now. I shall find out.
Something.
Yeah, it's not Cop Out. That's a Kevin Smith one. With Bruce Willis and thing. But yeah, it was. I'm just going to have a look. I've got to look. It'll just annoy me. Cop Shop. There it is.
Cop Shop.
Right.
Yeah. I just pulled it up on my Kaleidescape. There it is.
It's like Quick Draw.
Yep.
But that was really good as well. A really good return to form, and then suddenly he's just picked a bit of a dud, I think. Although, I'll be curious to see what others make of it. But I was disappointed with it, and I don't think this is one that I will revisit. I don't even think I'd buy this on 4K, and and my bar for that is normally fairly low. I think once is enough with this one. I think this is one and done for me. But other people might enjoy it.
Okay. Yeah, it's. I'm going to wait and hear a few. I think it's 1 and 1 now that I've heard, because I waited on this. I didn't have high hopes for it. Just off the Plain. That's the name of it. Plain. You couldn't get any more creative. I mean, if they spelled it PLIN, then I'd probably understand. But it's like Plain. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Like, it should just be spelled CRAP. Well, there we go. Never mind. So unfortunately, not one to watch. Not for me, anyway.
All right, that's okay. They can't all be winners, right?
We could try.
That's what my mom used to say about me. 4 kids, and they can't all be winners.
They can't all be winners.
I was the firstborn. They kept trying. All right.
At least one of them has to be.
Exactly. All right. Up next, we have our weekly. I'm going to touch on Carnival Row. I really like this. I have as much fun with the story as I do with the image and the sound in this show. John, did you see this week's?
I did.
What is it? 3 and 4, right?
3 and 4. Yep.
Really good.
Yeah.
Another way you said we have, the people, the flying going on, but I can't say enough about the 4K. And how smooth it looks, the gradations, the different light coming through, and the different atmospheres and the different rooms and different places that you go in the city, whether you're on the row or it's so well shot. And I don't know if I'm giving it more credit than it really deserves, only just because it's on Amazon and we don't expect that from Amazon. Just like, if this was Apple TV, I'd still love the show, but this is like Apple TV quality. It's that good. And I think if you haven't, like we said last week, if you haven't seen the first season, definitely catch up. It's really good. I'm really, really enjoying it. And I like it when it drops. I just can't wait to take in the imagery and the sounds and everything. So
yeah, this actually dropped late Thursday as opposed to Friday, at least on Prime. And yeah, Lydia, we watched it Thursday night because I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's really good. So I can't say enough about it, and I'll talk about it again next week. If a big scene, I mean, there's tons of scenes, but if something really jumps out at me, I'll have it in the notes.
I was gonna bring, like, I didn't add this or Last of Us because I know we've all watched it, but I didn't have anything else to add, from what I've already said. So I just didn't put them on my list.
Yeah, I just like to, especially something like this. It's like somebody that didn't listen last week, and I think this show deserves it. So that's why I'll bring it up, and we'll talk quickly. So, all right, that'll do that. You're up next. Nope, John, you're done.
I'm done. Yeah, Steve's got one more.
So we're up to Steve's with this one here.
Now, so this one, then I've had to. I have a confession to make, chaps. Last night I had a choice to make. The choice was either The Last of Us, this new episode, or Training Day, and the clue on the screen suggests what choice I made. So I haven't actually seen this week's Last of Us, although I've played the downloadable content that it's based on, and it's identical, so it's fine. So I feel like I've seen it, even though I haven't.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So you know the story.
Mission. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's fine. But I haven't seen the episode yet. So this is Training Day. This is the thanks. VJM says great choice, Steve. See, I like that. I need the validation, chaps. That's what I need it. So this is the new 4K disc. It came out here yesterday. I bought it with the Rocky box set, which came out yesterday as well. But for me, despite the fact that I've got an absolute ton of stuff to watch, this had to be pushed immediately to the top of the pile. I love this film. I've always enjoyed this film, but I haven't seen it for quite a long time. And I knew this was coming, so I held off from watching the Blu-ray again. And the Blu-ray was one of the kind of early-ish releases on Blu-ray, and it was never brilliant. It was okay, but a little bit flat and pretty poor sound mix as well, from what I recall. All of that, I am very pleased to say, has been fixed in this release. So we now get, now the movie is as fantastic as it has ever been. Denzel winning his Oscar, and rightly so, for an absolute powerhouse performance. He is fantastic in this. And the more you watch it, the more you see just how the little ticks, the little things that he's doing. This performance is fantastic. Written by David Ayer, of course, who then went on to Suicide Squad. But also good films like Fury and End of Watch and movies like that. And you can tell he wrote this. He's an LA born and raised and absolutely loves the city. And this is a love letter to some of the sort of more less salubrious areas of LA. Some of which, unfortunately, I'll tell you one day a story where I ended up going on a bus ride and then a train ride and ending up going through Compton and Watts and various places. So some of these things on here I've been through and stood out like a sore thumb and surprised I made it. But there it is. Long story, when I was trying to get to Hollywood Boulevard and I just got on the wrong bus. Not speed. Anyway, I get off the topic somewhat. But the film's great. Fantastic film. Really, really good. And just as good as it's ever been. Now, it now looks, however, like it has been polished and heavily reworked. It is fantastic. The detail levels on this, and I held off from reviewing it properly on Twitter because I knew we were doing this tonight. The detail levels are awesome. There is grain in it, but it's perfectly managed. All the pores on the skin look perfect from the very first shot. They look beautiful. You've got so much detail. All the individual little spots of water on the car windows are all perfectly resolved. The little bits of hair on their faces, all that stuff looks fantastic. Now, it's had some work done on the back half of the film, so the how it all kind of resolves at the end. And I won't spoil it because there may be some that haven't seen it. I know at least one person that follows me on Twitter hasn't seen it and wants to. So how it all ends, I won't give away, but they have done some tweaks to the color timing on the back end of it. It is darker, noticeably darker than it's been before, but it just adds to the mood. This whole thing is moving towards a dark conclusion. And so again, I think as long as your display is properly calibrated, then that will not cause any issues, and it still looks great. The only thing that's better than how it looks is how it sounds. We get a full-bore Dolby Atmos mix, which I was very surprised about because I figured they'll just chuck the DTS-HD mix on there or the TrueHD mix and that'll be it. But Warner's being Warner's, fair play to them, they have put a Dolby Atmos mix on it. And good news, it defaults to that, so you don't have to check your settings. And it sounds fantastic. Now, briefly, timestamps and stuff, they're at 45 minutes again, bizarrely. You get the first firefight when they come out of a building and they're suddenly set upon by various individuals. The gunshots in this, all the guns sound like cannons. So once they start firing, there is just a boom to it, and they all sound the same. It's great, and noticeably loud too. These things. In reality, as we all know, you pull a Beretta and you shoot. It's just a pop sound, isn't it? It's just a pop, pop, pop. That's all it is. But these things sound like they've unleashed something off an aircraft carrier, and it sounds incredible. It's not realistic, but it
not
sounds
like Halo.
Amazing. No, well, quite. Yeah, well, indeed. Well, there are no Gatling guns in this, so I can just about suspend disbelief. But the guns sound great. They're exactly as kind of over the top as you'd hope for.
Right.
So and whenever there are gunfights in this, and there are a few, they sound amazing and really beefy stuff. And they've clearly tweak those in the mix, and then the music's really good. As someone who loves Snoop and Dre and all that sort of stuff, you get some really lovely wide front soundstage stuff from the music, which has never sounded better, and some great bass rumbles when that's going as well. So yeah, this is a fantastic disc of a really, really good film, and honestly, this is a must buy. Anyone that wants to see it needs to see it. Anyone that's seen it will know it's good, and if you've got a 4K set, this needs to be bought. It's fantastic, and I can't recommend this highly enough. So it's really, really good. Is it referenced? No, because obviously it's an older film, but it's damn good and really, really should be bought as soon as possible. And it's relatively cheap as well over here, so I'm sure it will be over there as well. So it's not going to break the bank. They've not upped it to that higher price range. What is it? $30 over there. Here it's about £25. They normally, the higher ones are, but it's $19.99 here. So hopefully $20 if 20, 24, $25 over there, and well worth picking up. Yeah, it's great. Very, very cool.
Let's see.
And presumably you've both seen this. I'm just
seen
assuming
the movie.
you have.
I haven't seen the 4K.
Oh, okay. Have you? Is it Kaleidescape's got to be, surely?
I have it. Yeah, I have it.
Yeah,
I talked about it.
Oh yeah, sorry, you did. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And I liked it. I've only seen scenes. I haven't experienced the whole. But what I've seen is exactly what you said. Like I wanted to experience the whole thing, and hearing your description, I'm like, we'll probably be talking about it again next week because I want to see it. I can't wait to see it.
I had to put it to the top of my viewing pile, even over the Rocky movies. I'm desperate to see the director's cut of Rocky 4, but I just like no. This has got to be seen straight away. And then now I'll go back to the Rocky films.
Yeah, it's available over here for $24.96 on Amazon.
So is that one of the cheaper ones? Yeah, because normally they're $29.99, aren't they? That's your higher priced releases, and
that's a good price for a release week.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be $10 at Christmas time, but
right. It's the bargain hunter of the group.
Yeah.
It is worth getting. It's worth picking up ASAP, I would say. But again, it depends on your love of the films. But if you're doing some LA gangster movies, John, and you are, then with Heat, then this is a nice little addition to the gangster movie season that you're on at the moment.
I'm on a kick.
By the way, guys, I do like how we're doing this. I think this is very cool. I've had my rock season of late. D just had his animation season.
Right.
You've got
Yeah.
your kind of gangster movie things. It's very cool how we're all on these
Gangsta
little
movie
tracks.
themes.
Yeah. I really like that. It's good fun.
Because
It's
Scarface
just
will be Scarface will be next, right?
Nice disc as well. That
First
4K
you
disc
get
of
the
that is
power. Then you get the women.
great. Are you quoting that, or are you just giving some life advice, Deej?
Now that's how I raise my kids. You haven't seen
That was
the
in their
tattoo across
graduation
my
card.
back. Exactly. Oh, yeah, exactly. All right. Is that it for training day?
Yeah, but great,
Good.
very cool.
Great.
And initially, I see that BJM's mentioning that. He's looking forward to seeing that as well as the Rocky series.
So, all right. This one here is kind of funny. It was more of an accident. So, I'm doing this again. It happened to me the other day. All right. Clear and Present Danger from 1994, Harrison Ford, the Jack Ryan series. And he's a different Jack Ryan than the one we get now.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing. They sent him there. They sent him to do things. He just doesn't do them the way the current Jack Ryan is. So, but I loved both of these movies, this Clear and Present Danger, and the one I meant to watch was Patriot Games. I don't know why, because I wanted to go in order, like you were saying, Steve, like we do our thing, and I just pulled up the tiles on the Kaleidescape, and I was just, oh, there it is, Clear and Present Danger, and I started it. And we get to the line when the president says it's a clear and present danger. And I was like, wait a minute. Oh, my God. I picked the wrong one. And now I'm about 15 minutes in, but I'm hooked. And it's like, and here's the other thing. The bonus was Patriot Games is shorter. It's 2 hours. I had 2 hours to kill. So I was like, all right, I'll power through. This one's like almost 2.5, I think. But it's good. I mean, I love these movies and the action in them. And I have some stamps here. So the opening scene, and this is one of the reasons I was kind of hooked. So the opening scene is like you open up and it's the American flag on the screen, but you can hear it whipping like through you. Like it's not on the sound isn't across the front of you where the flag is. It's kind of weird. It's incorrect. It's not accurate to where the flag is, but it's still a cool effect. So I'm going to allow it. I really liked that. Then around 2 minutes, the Coast Guard cutter, there's a Coast Guard cutter coming through the water, and the way the splashes when the boat goes through the water, and so like if a big wave hits on the left side, you'll get the splash on that side. But it depends on there's all different angles. The boat's coming through this entire scene, but pay attention to where those splashes are. It's really nice, and they'll go down the side of your room too. That's really cool. The picture in this. I was amazed by the picture until the end, and we'll talk about that when I get to the end. But the picture is really, really nice. Like I said, this is from 1994, but the 4K looks really, really good. And around the 8-minute mark, I really liked what they did here. I don't know if they did it on purpose, if I'm just, hypersensitive to this, but, they're dealing with, drug lords down in Mexico, and you have the president of the United States, and they're setting everything up. So around the 8-minute mark, we're in the White House, and just look around the room. Take this all in, and then when you get down into Mexico, right? Check out that scene. And it's the first time you go down there to meet the drug lord who is fresh off of his Jurassic Park. I don't know the gentleman's name, but the actor's name, but he was the guy that was finding the amber in Jurassic Park. Well, now he's a drug lord here. So he's in Mexico and he's hitting baseballs in a cave. Of all things, right? Back it up to about the 8-minute mark and now pay attention to the difference between these two scenes. And it's like in the White House, they're in dark suits, white. I mean, you're in the Oval Office. Everything is crisp. The air is crisp. Everything. The difference between them and the background is very crisp. The black, darker suits against the white background, against the desk, everything. It just looks gorgeous. Then you go down to Mexico and you're in a cave and it's hot. And the air, you could see the air here, right? And so there's the film like to the air, and it's warmer. Like in the White House, the whites are all kind of a cooler setting, like. But then you go down to Mexico, and it's like he's wearing a purple, kind of a purplish reddish shirt. But then you have like the cave walls are like that brown. It's all warmer and stuff. So it's like the difference between the two. Here's the two sides that are going to battle it out, and it's like they're opposite. Just the scenes, the hues to the scenes, I thought was really, really cool. And the way they use, I mean, the HDR, I think, just really pulls that out. So really enjoyed that. Helicopters rotate to front of a room at 27 minutes and 50 seconds. So Willem Dafoe, also in this, he's meeting with Chavez at the sniper range thing where you're testing out and stuff. And you can hear, so he's meeting with Chavez in the room. They've already done the sniper range thing, and now they're in a room, and you're looking at Chavez, and you can hear the helicopters, like they've landed or wherever, but they're off camera, but they're behind you in the room. And then the camera pans around to look at Willem Dafoe, and now you're seeing the helicopters through the window behind Willem Dafoe, but that entire pan worked perfectly. The sound moved with it. So where it was in the back of the room, because it's behind you when you're looking at Chavez, it switches and it goes right around and comes back to the front of you, so front of your room. Really, really cool how they did that. Let's see. Oh, the helicopters go under you. I think it was helicopters. Helicopters go under you at 32 minutes. This is where we need those speakers below you. This is, and it happened, like they go right, they're coming right at you. You're in the air looking at them, right? They come right at you and they go right under you, but the sound goes right over you. And it was like, I'm like, this is what we need. It's time for the underfoot speakers. That's what we need. We have overheads, we need underfoots. That's what we're going to call them. I've got the patent on that. I'm going to copyright it. The underfoot speakers. At 38 minutes, we have a Cyberdyne type explosion. If you know what that means, the explosion starts at the front of the room. You get the nice burst of ball of flame, and it goes all the way through your room. And then right after that, you get the debris landing behind you. I call that a Cyberdyne explosion because it happened in T2 when they blew up the window in the Cyberdyne, and it all came across, and then you hear all the debris land behind you. So that was really, really nice. 49 minutes, we have an echo. Really cool. Big fan of echoes in movies. So that the guy from Jurassic Park, the drug lord, he's all upset. He's in the jungle and he starts yelling out something about like, "Who did this to me?" And then in the back of your room you hear, "Who did this to me?" It travels right back to the room. It really, really cool. The ambush at 58 minutes, 10 seconds, rocket launchers, gunfire, 90s scored. It kind of takes away, but it's entertaining out of context. We're not in the 90s anymore, but you're hearing this music go on, and it's like weird, but it's kind of fun. The dialogue, the screaming wounded, I didn't hear a Wilhelm. But I heard a lot of people because they're going down the alleyway, they're shooting them, and all of a sudden, for some reason, people go, "Ah!" just scream for some reason off the rooftop. So that was kind of cool. At 1 hour and 30 seconds, a rocket goes off from left rear to the right front, but it's off camera. So Harrison Ford is tending to dead Dan, his buddy there that got killed, and they're in like a doorway on the side of the road, and he's like looking at him and he's trying to see if he's okay. And that's all you see. You don't see what's going on in the street, but you hear a rocket get launched from behind you to the front of you, and just it really, really cool setup there for something where you're looking at them. So then at 1 hour, 14 minutes and 10 seconds, a bomb pan. So this one's kind of cool. So if you remember the end of this movie, I know it's from 1994, spoilers, there's a bomb in it. They drop a bomb from a jet, and you're first seeing it, it looks like a missile, but it's the kind that just drops, right? It's coming at you. So it's coming at you, and the sound of it goes by you on the left side of the room. Okay. So you get the whoosh down the left, and now you're looking at the target. But here comes the bomb, because it went by you, but now you're ahead of it, and it comes up from behind you on the right side of the room and you see it go by you on the right side of the room and towards the target as you're looking down at the target. It's really cool. Little, fun little play there. And then this is where I'll say at the end, it kind of got all the way through this. I was looking at details. I was looking at textures. I was looking at Harrison Ford's face, how young he looked. It just so much to take in. I thought it looked really, really good. Then at the end, probably the last 20 minutes or so, it just all of a sudden got really grainy, and the black levels didn't drop as far. It looked a little bit different. I don't know what happened there, but it just, I don't know. But I would say if you haven't seen this in 4K, it's worth it. And I wouldn't say you have to run out and buy it if you can rent it in 4K or whatever. But if you're a fan of the movies, it's never looked better. That's for sure. And obviously the audio was really, really good as well. Just DTS. It's not Atmos. Just I had DTS Master Audio, but really good, really dynamic sound, good bass, good, obviously good ambient sound, stuff like that. Obviously up mixed to Neural X too. So, but a lot of fun. Really, really enjoyed that, and I'm looking forward to finally taking in Patriot games as well.
I bought the set last May. I was just looking to see on my app, and yeah, it was last May. I bought them all on 4K, and the good news is they're all decent. They're all solid discs. Yeah. So you've obviously got Patriot Games, which is before this, Clear and Present Danger. Yeah. You've got The Sum of All Fears, and then you've got Jack Ryan, the one with Chris Pine. Obviously, Hunt for Red October is the first one, and then they go in order. But they're all decent. They're all solid discs. So the good news is you won't be disappointed with any of them. I wouldn't have thought. And I watched them all within a couple of days of each other, and they're all they're all good. You'll look forward to those deeds. They are all decent. Yeah. So if you've bought them all, you'll be pleased.
Yeah, I have them all. I have them all.
Yeah, they are good.
And I think I bought them all back then when I saw what you were talking about. I forgot that you bought them all as well. But yeah, really good. All right, let's pull that down, and we'll wind up with a little chat. We'll end the day with The Last of Us. Steve didn't see it, but he played it. John, did you see
Lived it?
I did see it.
You did see it.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I thought it was great. Again, I know this was like the flashback episode when we're all wanting the story to move forward, which every show seems to do right at that juncture of like second to last episode. But I thought it was a really good episode. They've kind of they're not going to get me again with like getting me hooked on characters and then just having them die because they've done it 3 or 4 weeks in a row. So I'm not getting emotionally invested in these people anymore. I looked at your, what you have down there for notes, and there's some really great scenes in the mall where the HDR and the picture quality is fantastic. The sound continues to be really, really good. I thought it was a great episode.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, those couple of scenes that I mentioned in the notes, the gym scene and the flashing, that one, I was like, this is HBO's got to be doing this on purpose. They've got to be just trying to tweak us. Like, they're just trying to make us angry about something, whether they're pushing the black levels too low just to get us all like, we got to get our TVs calibrated. So I started this up, and this scene's right at the beginning, right, John? It was like very early on.
The gym? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Right at the very beginning.
And I'm like, and here's where I get, it's not FOMO and not fear of missing out. I'm more of like, is my system breaking? Is something wrong? Because like when I get like a more complicated system, you're like, uh-oh, something's going wrong, and I got to fix this. So I actually had to pause the show, go upstairs, and put this on my OLED. And when I saw that everything was flashing, I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, is my projector bulb going? Is the projector going? Is the Lumigen crapping out? I'm like, what is going on here? This is, and because it was so consistent, but it was just like, I'm like, oh no. And then when I saw it's supposed to be there, I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of cool though. And I'm like, I think they're doing that on purpose just to make us angry.
Yeah.
But then like you said, that arcade scene, it just looks spectacular. And that's streaming. I mean, you've got such bright neon colors, the bright lights, the video games, the carpets. I was actually thinking of carpets for my theater. I'm like, oh, look at this. It looked like a 1980s or 1990s arcade.
Oh, for sure.
And the mall, the entire mall.
Well, that's what I say. Not to spoil, because Steve says he can't be spoiled because he's played it. But like, even when they just flip the lights on for the mall, and the whole thing lights up. I mean, it looked really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, really cool.
'Cause you have every storefront is a different color, and it looked like, we were back in high school at the mall,
Yeah, hanging out in front of Victoria's Secret.
Yeah. Well, and that whole scene was great. That might not have been in the game, so I won't say anything about it. But.
Yeah, that scene was pretty funny. That was pretty funny. Yeah. They're like, huh? It's funny when you think of it from their perspective, too. Right. That's the idea, right? Like, they're like, why? Well, anyways, yeah, you'll enjoy it, Steve.
I'll watch it tomorrow evening if I can. It's just literally between that and training day. There was no contest, I'm not giving up on the show. It's just a between that and the awesomeness of the PlayStation VR. There's only been so much time this week to catch up on stuff. I've done quite well to get 4.
Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, hey, and look at us. We're keeping right around 2 hours. We're at 2:09 now. Steve's gonna get to bed on time.
Yeah,
way to go, boys. All right.
Yeah.
That
John's
will
going back
do
to
it.
The couch.
John's going back to the couch. Hope you feel better.
Yeah, thanks.
Enjoy some content while you're hanging out.
I will.
There you go. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for listening. Thanks for participating in the chat. Hope everybody's enjoying the new digs. I mean, we're not a bus bench. We're kind of staggered now, but still the bus bench to me.
Right.
So
double-decker bus bench.
There you go. Yep, exactly. There you go. Yeah, John's on the bottom. John's driving the bus.
That's right.
There we go. This week, John's driving. So, thanks, VJ. Appreciate it. I don't know why they don't move us up when we put that in on the other one. We just covered John, so that's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll have to work on that. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Rate, review, subscribe, participate, email. If you want to be on the show, take over Tuesdays. Just email me, DJ@Brightside Home Theater. You can email Steve at steve@brightsidehometheater.com, and we'll all tell John about it because we still haven't figured out his email. But he has one.
I have
it's not like I slighted him. I mean, he has one. So... All right. And coming up on Tuesday, I have Todd Anderson take over Tuesday, the audio-only podcast. Check that out. It's really good conversation and a big announcement maybe at the end. Who knows what's to come for Brightside Home Theater, but Todd has an idea. Who knows? So I can't wait to hear everybody's feedback on that one. So until then, everybody...
Go push play.
What he said.
We're out of here. Hey, Fred. This has been a Hey Fred production with theme music by Jeff Bernhardt and Throne Vault Productions.